this is just a draft of what I hope to be saying. I don't think I've completely developed my arguments for... No, I have fully developed my arguments for belief in the Abrahamic God, because I have said that it doesn't even matter that the Abrahamic God doesn't exist. It is enough that the concept of the Abrahamic God exists, and that people want to believe in him and should be encouraged to do so by their governments. What I'm saying is that I haven't fully developed my arguments for arguing in favour that the Abrahamic God might even exist. Which is to say that, I haven't developed the arguments challenging the existence of the Abrahamic God. I have to do these things myself because I don't really get much of a challenge from a lot of mentally challenged people I have to deal with, who either don't understand what I'm saying or pretend not to understand. So really, when you begin with the presupposition that God exists, you are inviting people to challenge that presupposition. And really, I would have thought the theists have the advantage, because a theist can begin with the assertion, the claim that because there was a creation, there must have been a creator, and that creator was the Abrahamic God. And so an atheist would be able to challenge this claim by saying that the universe was uncreated and therefore does not need a creator to have created it, since it was always there. Another way of challenging this claim would be to say that why would it necessarily be the Abrahamic God? It could be some other kind of God who does not possess all his attributes and is not as powerful as the Abrahamic God. Some years ago, I did make this challenge when I was debating with some Muslims who use this argument, saying that because there was a creation, there must have been a creator, and that creator was God, Allah. And I said, and the only way I could argue against it was to say that the God that created the universe had died after creating the universe, like salmon spawning, because the life cycle of the salmon is that it is born, it goes to sea, and then it comes back to the place where it was born to mate with other salmon, and then after that they die. presumably they have to go to sea in order to get bigger, make friends, choose the most suitable school of salmon to swim around with, and then come back to their place of birth to spawn and then die. But anyway, the idea is for the salmon is that they die after they have sex. But that's okay, because they've already done what they were supposed to do, which is to bring forth the next generation. And after I made this point that Allah could have created the universe and then checked out, that was when I had the shrieks of Takbir, Allahu Akbar, directed at me by a gym full of Muslims on a Saturday evening. It was quite impressive, really, that it was a full gym of Muslims. It was a basketball court, I think, from memory. And so the question I would ask about, well, whether it is indeed the living, eternal, supreme, omnipotent, omniscient Abrahamic God, or some form of lesser God, or indeed a God that has expired after creating the universe. But it strikes me that it is possible that it is what's the word? It is possible for somebody to create something and create a mechanism that is smoothly operating, and doesn't require supervision. So if you think of a scientist creating an environment for, I don't know, guinea pigs or something, for them to exist, where they can find food and interact with each other and make provision for well, whatever is the ultimate objective of the experiment. So I'm thinking of lab rats here. Supposing the scientists wanted to separate the good lab rats from the bad lab rats and had a system of environmental and genetic factors that could go towards separating the good lab rats that deserve to go to the better place and the bad lab rats that deserve to go to the worst place. And a system was devised whereby the right lab rats would go to the right place for them. In theory, I suppose it could be done without the actual supervision of the Abrahamic God, because a system has already been devised where the sin is its own punishment. So basically, God, if he exists, has said, these are the rules, these are my rules. There will be other rules that you will wish to follow, such as your own rules, or the rules of evil people. but these are my rules, and the purpose of your life is to work out which one you ought to follow. And I give you the free will with which to make up your mind about what to follow. And of course you can change your mind if you're on the if you decide you're on the wrong track, but ultimately my rules rule. And I leave it to you, because that is the object of the experiment, to separate the good lab rats from the bad lab rats. I earlier said that it doesn't actually matter whether God exists or not, because the idea of an afterlife, of eternal life, of people getting their just deserts and good being rewarded and evil punished is so attractive as to make the existence of God irrelevant. Because in the end, people, for good or ill, believe what they choose to believe. So if somebody chooses not to believe, then of course he won't. But I know there are people who say, oh, but I haven't seen any evidence of God. And I know such a person too. And he ain't no spring chicken. And I get impatient with him, because I think, you're older than me. I ain't no spring chicken. Surely you would have worked out by now whether God exists or doesn't, or whether you should obey his rules or not, or whether your group should obey his rules or not. And I don't think it's anything to do with the truth. It's about what's socially and politically acceptable. And this means, in a way, thinking in the short term, because if you don't think an afterlife exists, then all that matters is this life. And if you think like that, then you'll be very easily controlled. You'll be easily bribed or threatened, and you won't do the right thing. And if you encourage other people to think like you, then they'll be looking after their own interests and also be very easily bribed or threatened, and therefore this sort of thinking is not going to result in the national interest. What you want of your group is that they will do the right thing to make the group, to make the group remain in existence and be in a healthier state, a more cohesive state than other groups. And talking about groups, I mean, obviously, religious groups are the strongest groups of humans, the strongest, I mean, the most powerful human groups, because their existence outlasts empires. So the Jews, they've been around for, I think, nearly 5,700 something years. So that's quite a while compared to Christians and Muslims. And so from this we can conclude that something about their religion protects and preserves them. So if not God protecting Jews, there is something about Judaism that protects Jews or makes people want to be Jews and maintain the practices that are necessary for the statement that Jews exist to be true. And Gentiles are invited to consider why Jews who have the most restrictive religion of all continue to exist. There will be people who will point out that not all Jews are observant. There are many secular, assimilated atheist Jews. Who doubtless wish to call themselves Jews because they want the status of being God's chosen people. And also, if the Gentile allows it, if the Gentile doesn't discriminate against Jews and in fact confers on him all kinds of legal privileges, why not? Why not? How can you refuse all these privileges, these protections against having your feelings hurt? It's irresistible. But I think it's a continuing story. The story is not yet ended. We are supposed to use our God-given faculties of reason to work out which religion our group should have. Obviously, we should choose the best available religion for our group, our tribe, our nation, our empire, because we want to be associated with its success. We want our group to be successful so that we can enjoy it, the privileges, the status, the power of being a member of our group. And I think it is through the correct choice of religion that we achieve power. So what is to happen when everybody, or all the nations that you know have the same religion? Is peace and goodwill inevitable when you achieve the state of Christendom in the case of Christians? So Christendom was really a Europe, a continent of Christian kingdoms, and this once existed, but the West is no longer Christendom because the West changed its political system from monarchy to republic, and this process is still taking place. We know from Islamic history that Islam does not support monarchy because the rightly guided caliphs were not monarchs. They were the definition of a monarch is somebody who inherits his position from his father or male relation in the order of succession, or and the rightly guided caliphs were not, the four rightly guided caliphs were not in any way related to each other. So there's a difference. So when people think of Islamic states, they will be thinking of an Islamic republic, because the caliphs were not kings. The rightly guided caliphs anyway were not kings. They were leaders of Islamic republics. There are Muslim kings. The king of Morocco is a Muslim king, and so is Saudi Arabia, led by an absolute monarch. So really, when you think about it, it is a clash of civilizations, not really between Christianity and Islam, as people like to think, but really in two rival forms of political system, the republic or the monarchy. And I think we already know the answer. Britain has the most powerful British monarchy, if you want to measure the power of your monarchy by the expanse of territory it has. But then we know that, well, I know that the British monarch, in fact, has fewer rights than his own subjects. How do I know this? I mean, there's some people who think, oh, but he's king, and he gets to lord it over everybody, and he is, listened to politely. But actually, he is often criticised. If you're a member of the royal family, you get all kinds of terrible things said about you, and you can't even sue anyone in court because, well, you just a royal in court is forgetting his own position when you think of how legal cases are cited. In criminal cases, it would be R against Carter, or R, me, and the R means Regina for queen, or Rex if king. So really, it's the king prosecuting the accused. So for a king to be asking for justice in his own courts is admitting his own low status. He is showing that he is no longer king, and sadly Harry doesn't understand that. Over the years, I've noticed that quite a few members of the royal family do not really appear to understand their own position. They break the rules of conceptual royalty anyway. And I think it's inevitable, because a constitutional monarchy is really a temporary compromise. We know what the French and Russians did to their monarchs. They did not compromise. I know with the French, they thought, oh, the French do miss their king. Let's have a bourgeois monarch. And they got Louis Philippe to do it. And he was mocked for carrying his own umbrella. And there was Napoleon III, but that ended when the French lost the Franco-Prussian War. So what am I trying to say here? Well, I'm trying to say that it should be obvious now that any advanced civilization should be a republic. The Chinese have understood it after thousands of years of imperial rule by dynasties. It all came to an end in 1911, and then there was a civil war after an invasion, and then a revolution, and a total change of the system of government. The West is mostly Republican. It's mostly Republican in the sense that we still have a few monarchies in Europe, in Sweden, in Norway, in Spain, in Britain, and Holland, but really they are insignificant in terms of their power and their ability to affect public affairs. So the kind of, what's the word? Pretend kings and queens. Is there any point in keeping these monarchies around? I think not. I used to be a monarchist, but there comes a time when you think it just confuses everyone and they are anachronistic, and we should have a more transparent way of government. But I know it's in the interest of the Americans to keep the British monarchy going, and that is what I think they will try to do. Hello, Rune. What's a lox and a schmear? Perhaps you'll explain. I talked to Palou not very long ago, maybe not on my stream, but he certainly did come on. If you want to check out all the streams I've been on, you will be able to find it on either Voice of Reason or a radicalized rabbi, where I timestamp my streams. So are you going to tell me what these? What's a lox and smear? Now, have I finished what I wanted to say about belief in the Abrahamic God? Well, let me recap. I think, for the sake of good government, governments should encourage a belief in the Abrahamic God, because it worked for the Jews. I mean, if you want to keep your group in existence and apart from others, then you should obey the laws of the morally perfect Abrahamic God. Now, people will ask, is he morally perfect? Doesn't look like it to me, etc., etc. But all these arguments can easily be dealt with when the government decides to support these arguments with the full apparatus of state and the authority of mainstream media. But are there logical reasons for believing in the Abrahamic God? Well, it would be illogical to believe in it because because it would be logical to worship the most powerful God conceivable than to worship anything less. Because there will be people who say, well, I worship the most powerful God in the world, and that means my God defeats your God. So in a way, if we were all being logical, we are funneled into belief in the most, into the belief and worship of the most powerful God conceivable. And so let us assume all the countries in the world say, right, we do believe in the Abrahamic God, and we're going to adopt secular Quranism, and then what's going to happen? I suggest to you that the nation most reasonably and humanely adopting these, the nation with the most humane and reasonable interpretation of the laws of God will do better than those who do not. So there we are. I think I've finished what I wanted to say. I will be talking to Khalid Safir on Odyssey at 1, so please go there and I'll see you there.